It's Tennessee.Frank. Hey guys, Tennessee.Frank here, showing you the latest power station that I picked up here. Of course, you know from my other video, I sent that all powers back. That R600 was just running too hard on the fans with such a low wattage output. I don't know if they're just using like subpar fans or if they got bad inverters or what, but it went back. So I used the credit I got on it, and I did have to pay a restocking fee. It was like 35 bucks, so I did lose some money on that. But I found this deal here. This is the Pecron. It's the E600LFP. That stands for lithium iron phosphate. And don't let the 600 fool you. This has a 1200 watt inverter. It is 614 watt hours too, so it's decent capacity, about half the capacity of the inverter, which is still, you know, not too bad. I mean, we do have that 1200 watt inverter in there. We can go ahead and turn this on. Just do a long press here on the AC. You hear the fan kicks on. I charged this up and I have run it down. I used that little fan for the room and brought it down, and then I plugged in and did some coffee, and I'll show you how that works. Actually works pretty good. Now we're going to give it a test and see if it's going to actually brew some coffee here. My camera battery died, so I had to hook it into AC, which it's not even really registering. I guess it's such a low current drain. Coffee maker set up. I've tested this with the kilowatt meter, and it's right under 900 watts. So let's turn this on. We're going to see what happens. This is rated for 1200 watts, so it should run this. Here we go. Make sure we got our display up. Okay. 896, 895. Yeah, I can hear the coffee starting. Looks like it's going to work. I'll go ahead and cut this off, and we'll come back when it's done. Okay, we're almost done brewing our coffee. Battery's down to 21%. And this is something that's kind of cool. This little meter they have here, it's almost like a little speedometer. It lets you know how much you're using. Kind of gives you like an idea. 20% battery capacity, and I did run it down from the test you saw with the fan the other night. Still pulling 900 watts. The fans finally kicked on, and I don't know if you can really hear them much over the coffee maker. But yeah, they're running. You can feel them. They're running. We can take a temperature check. Let's see if I can get in here. Coming out about 94 degrees. So that's not too bad. Let's see what the other one is. Rear fan is 104, so yeah, a little higher. Yeah, as it's pulling current, they're kicking in. Now the coffee's done, so you can see our watts have dropped down to pretty much zero since the coffee's done brewing. But yeah, it'll run a 900 watt coffee maker, no problem. And then there's the heating element kicking on again for a minute. Yeah, fans are kind of ramping down now that it's not pulling so much current, but they are fairly quiet. I'm surprised. I mean, for dual fans, they're fairly quiet, which that makes me happy. I can't stand a noisy fan. So let's get back to the tabletop. But you got your DC. Turn that on. That'll turn all your ports on over here. You can cycle through some stuff. If you hit DC, you can see 25.8 volts. and then 16%, so you can go back between voltage in your battery or percent, and then with your AC you can see you can cycle through a couple different things. So that's kind of interesting. There's also a feature a guy showed where you can press both of these and it'll get you into like a little back door in the programming to redo some stuff. I'm not going to mess with that right now. I'm not going to screw around with that right now. But you do have your, your standard 12 volt, so you can plug in for your portable refrigerators. There is wireless charging on the top, which is a nice feature. The display does go dim quite quickly. I think there's a way when you go in you can change that. I may change that. But you do have, if you look here, you do have your Type C, and one of them's 100 watt and the other's an 18 watt, and then you have your older USB-A's. For input, they're using a 5-pin aviation connector, and now they're also using a 5521, which on an older unit that I had ordered, they didn't have this feature. It was actually a 4-pin aviation connector, and you had to have 29.4 volts minimum just to kick in the charge controller. This one, you can run 32 all the way up to 90 for your 5-pin aviation, or you can do 12 to 18 on your 5521, which that is why I decided to go back with Pecron. The older unit, you couldn't do that. I had a 12 volt 120 watt solar panel and it would not work with that unit, so I ended up sending it back. They do give you a nice case, kind of like the CN505 I had. We can unzip this, bring it over here and we'll unzip it, and I'll show you everything you get with this. You get a pretty decent amount of stuff. This does have a power brick. It's not huge, but I mean it's not small either, and it's got a little fan inside of it to keep it cool. It does have a power brick, pretty nice. Read on there. Of course, then you get your computer style cable, which we can go ahead and pull this apart. Get your computer style cable, which a lot of them that have the built-in, this is all you get. That's all you really need. This one though, this plugs into your power brick, and we'll plug it up here in a minute. I'll show you just how much input it actually does get. Let me get this unwrapped. And then they do have a 12 volt card charging port here, 5521. Because it'll be 12 volts, so you'll be running through this plug-in. And then they give you a Anderson or MC4 to that 5-pin aviation, which I will probably be using an adapter that I have that's going to go from MC4 to 5521. Since, like I said, all my solar panels are going to be under the 32 volts. So I'll be using this to charge it and plug it into the 5521. It would be nice if they would include an MC4 to 5521, but hey, it is what it is. I mean, it's good enough. And these are hard to find. This is more of an unusual connection. These aviation connections are generally not used on most power stations, so it's really rare that they have that, and they went from a 4-pin to a 5-pin. But it's nice that now we can use our lower voltage solar panels on here, and you know, be able to just, you know, run the 5521, which is a very common connector. It's something that a lot of panels will, almost some of them have them built in. I have a couple panels where that 5521 is just actually built in. But we can go ahead, I'm going to hook the power brick up here and just show you how this charges. Go ahead and plug this in, and then we will connect this. Of course, there is a little notch right here that'll go toward the top. If I plug this in, it automatically will kick in. Go ahead and you gotta turn the AC on, that's right. So I'm turn the AC on and see if it'll start charging here. I think it takes it a minute for the MPPT controller to get everything figured out. Let me do a long press. Okay, it's back on. Let's see if we're going to get charging here. There we go. Okay, now it's starting to take a charge. You can hear the fan on the power brick kicking in. Let me zoom in a little here. You can see it's pulling in a pretty decent amount of wattage. Like I said, I want to change that screen. 274 watts from this power brick. That is pretty good. You can do up to 400 watts from solar. So that makes this really good if you got the solar and you can plug it in. Like I said, 400 watts of solar is no joke. I mean, that's pretty decent. On the 5521, they did say it's like 100 watts, which still, like most of my panels are 100, 120 watts. I do have that Dokia that's 160. So that's plenty. I mean, that works. You do get a little manual. Kind of goes over everything, all the different ports. Tells you what that is. It's a GX16MF and it's a 5 pin. 32 volt to 95 volt, 400 watts. And then on your 5521 input, 12 volt to 18 volt at 100 watts. So this will take most of your average solar panels right there. But yeah, you get a nice little manual. I mean, there's nothing in the manual either about that little secret where you press on the two buttons. I found that on YouTube. I think it's Ramblin' Rob or something has a video on it. But it's just kind of a basic manual. It talks about the ports, how to set them up. 12 to 18 volt, 100 watt max. 32 to 95, 400 watt. It does kind of skip over between 18 and 32. I did believe I heard someone say, though, you can run up to 24 volts on that 18, as long as the amperage is lower. But there it shows schematics for how you hook up your panels and everything. Just kind of a basic manual. Pretty good manual. And I did go on their support and get my warranty, added my serial number, got the warranty all set up. All in all, though, I think this is going to be a really good unit. Like I said, I'm going to roll in some footage of brewing some coffee with it, and then we'll be back. Okay, like you saw, it took the 900 watts, and I mean, it just no problem at all. The little meter here, which I love, that little kind of like speedometer, was about 3/4 of the way. You know, 900 out of 12, that's about 3/4. Took it like a champ. I mean, no problem at all brewing coffee. So if we ever have a power outage, I can use a standard coffee maker, make my coffee. I got my 100 watt if I want to charge like an iPad or something, which I don't have, but if you did, and then the 18 for normal phones. It is a bit heavy, like everyone's commented. It's got a nice fold-up handle. This guy's, you know, good 20 pounds, but that's to be expected because of the inverter and the battery capacity. But right now, I think best bang for the buck if you're looking for just a basic power station. No real frills, doesn't have any apps or anything you can plug in and run from Wi-Fi or Bluetooth or nothing. Just a basic power station that's going to give you a really decent inverter, 1200 watts, huge inverter, decent watt hours, you know, 614, not bad. And you can always do the little trick of plugging in an external battery to increase your watt hours. I think for the money, and on Amazon right now they're going for like $329. It's hard to beat. You're not going to find another 1200 watt power station for $329 out there. Prices may vary. I mean, they may go up, may go down a little. You may get a flash deal on it and get it for, you know, less. But I think this is going to be a good addition to my power stations that I have. It should last a long time. With the lithium iron phosphate batteries, they're saying 3,500 charge cycles. And I mean, you can see we're already up to 19%. It charges fairly quickly from the power brick. But I mean, there's not a whole lot else to say. Now that they've gotten it where you can run your 12 to 18 volts on these, I think they're a real winner. I think this is going to do really well. I ran that fan last night, probably 7 or 8 hours or better. One of the little fans did kick on a little. The other one really not so much, but it was quiet. And like I said, I don't mind if a fan kicks on as long as it's quiet. That's my main beef with that R600, is the fan was running constantly. I mean, every 10-15 minutes, and it was noisy, it was loud. So if you're in a tent camping somewhere trying to run a little fan to stay cool, and that thing's kicking on making noise, it's going to be hard to sleep. With something like this, or the CN505, or the Go Labs I have, when the fans do kick on, at least they're quiet. So yeah, check out these Pecrons now. They're coming out with some lithium iron phosphate technology, and just for a bare bones kind of basic solid, you know, rock solid unit, I don't think you can do a lot better for the price point. So like I always say, either we stand up for our rights or we can sit by and watch them go away. Y'all have an awesome rest of the day. We'll catch you later. T.N.Frank out of here.